Welcome to JobGhost, the podcast, where we talk all things ghosting in the hiring process. I'm your host, Meg Giuliano. Today is going to be a really fun conversation. I'm joined by my co-founder and the CEO of JobGhost. We're going to talk about how we met, why we're so passionate about eliminating ghosting, and where things are currently at with the JobGhost launch. Devon Archer, welcome to the show.
Thanks, Megan. Thanks for having me. Appreciate you.
This is going to be fun.
I think so. Yeah, hopefully it's not too unhinged, but we'll see.
Luckily, you're the editor too, so you can take out anything that becomes too unhinged.
I probably won't, but we'll see.
I think we should start by let's both talk about why we're so passionate about eliminating ghosting.
Okay. I'm going to start.
Yeah, you go first.
Good. So I think for me, it goes back to when I was kind of really in the job hunt and really, got ghosted around 2,000 times. And so that was kind of, I don't want to say there was an aha moment, but I felt like it was more like a sunrise slowly dawning on me that I should do something about it, And so I felt like just, after being ghosted that many times, it was just like such a horrible feeling. But there was one experience in particular where I was so close. I was just like right there, and kind of compare that with, it hurts a lot more when you're ghosted after you either are about to receive an offer, you have your final interview. And in a way, I kind of compare that to being jilted at the altar, It kind of feels like that. Not as extreme, of course, but it is like your life, and it's like you're just an important decision you're making, and, a commitment that you're making to these people. And as time goes on, you kind of feel more and more committed to them, whether you realize it or not. And so, yeah, that kind of made me realize I need to figure out a way to help with ghosting, because it's continuing to spiral and get worse and worse on both sides of the equation. So that's when I had the idea for JobGhost, and it was actually going to be for job seekers at first. But then, and I realized that's just kind of a big place for people to share their thoughts and opinions and be mad about ghosting, which is totally fine. All for that. But it doesn't actually really solve the issue. There isn't a catalyst or a vehicle for them to use. And that's why we came together. And then I met you on LinkedIn just through the comment section or the comment aisle or whatever you want to call it. And then, we had the idea, let's just go to the heart of the issue, which is companies. They're doing all the ghosting, and then, who sees the applications? Hiring managers, recruiters. And so, yeah, that's our target for us.
Yeah. It's funny to say the altar. It's funny when you say the altar thing, because one of my contacts, he was searching for a role for a while, and he was like, Megan, I'm just, for whatever reason, I always end up being the bridesmaid and never the bride. And I just thought that was... Yeah. But too, when you say that you've been ghosted 2,000 times, do you mean you didn't hear, you was kind of like crickets on resumes that you were submitting, applications?
It's just the whole combination of everything. I mean, ghosted after, submitting resumes, but also ghosted after, an interview, 2 interviews, just kind of the whole plethora, which I'm sure a lot of people who are applying to places all the time have been through as well. With just the whole process. I mean, even after the initial acknowledgement, sometimes they don't even send that, You put your resume in and then there's no email, which is usually just automated, but some of them are just nah, forget you,
To that too, your worst ghosting story. But first, yeah, I'll just say I think most of my audience knows that I have been talking about ghosting a lot and giving feedback in a timely manner. And I think that's how Devon and I ended up crossing paths, is through the wonderful algorithm. It must have picked up that you were talking about ghosting, and so was I. And of course, met through LinkedIn. It's weird because I've been recruiting for 7 years, and I was recruiting more locally for the past 5 years. And I guess I saw this a little bit. I saw hiring managers not giving timely feedback. Occasionally I'd be ghosted by my own client, which also being a hiring manager. But I really started to see this more and more when I launched my own business. I don't know if it's a combination of just maybe timing, where it just is happening anyways in the market, but also I think having more of a reach and talking to people across the US and actually across the globe too. I know that you've told me that you've done some research, and there's ghosting happening even in India, right, in Europe, and obviously Canada with the law that's coming into effect.
Yeah. It's just a pandemic, essentially. It's happening everywhere. I mean, I know more numbers essentially about the United States, but yeah, it's a huge problem in Israel, India, and all those places that we're going to target, Philippines and Australia. It's just rampant everywhere. And I think Canada is taking a step in the right direction to try to regulate it. but just finding people probably won't be the answer. There needs to be solutions that come to play, not only ours, but others as well, because we won't have everybody be our customer. We'd love to, but
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Because we always say like hiring managers don't. Oh, there's obviously some jerks out there who just ghost because they do. But I think most people, meanwhile, it's very hard to manage. When 500 applications come in very quickly on a job, it's hard to have the time to go through them, to be able to send rejection notices, and then to at the same time be keeping up with the interview process in general. Never mind managing multiple job openings where that's a
Exactly. I know it's like, I've always thought about ghosting. It's like, I think of it like it's adding pain to the collective psyche of the job force in the US and around the world. So it's like, the world right now is like wildly turbulent. And so an AI could essentially become Skynet potentially, So the world right now is experiencing more wars and active conflicts than any time since World War II. So I'm just like, I can't do much about those things, but maybe we can help people have some peace of mind in their job search, So I feel like companies often treat their applicants too lightly. And it's like a very vulnerable time for people. It's their livelihood. So it's how they're going to house themselves, feed themselves, their family as well sometimes. So the job market kind of feels more like a battlefield than a group effort to support each other as humans. So that's what we're trying to do. Obviously, at JobGhost is to, even though we're using AI, we're trying to humanize the hiring process more, because we try to use AI in an ethical way. So using AI in a way that benefits people, keeping them in the loop and keeping them in the know about their applications, instead of AI gatekeeping and turning away good candidates because of a misspelling on their resume or it doesn't match the keywords, or just kind of like nonsensical ways where that could be a great candidate for them, but they don't look as good as somebody else on a resume.
Often I see that happen. My candidates tell me usually about everything that they're interviewing for, even if it's not through me. I try to coach them as best I can. In general, they'll show me these jobs that they applied for, and it's like I can't understand why half the time they're not getting an interview. I think it's a total miss on the hiring manager's part or HR, who's ever managing the process.
Yeah, absolutely. And so, that's just awful. But we're trying. But I know there's other people out there that are trying to help. It is the best they can, but I feel like we've kind of are like on the cutting edge. So hopefully there'll be companies that follow us that become competition, but, obviously we'll still crush them. But but they can have some of the pie too, because the pie is really big, Absolutely. So how did you get into recruiting? Tell me, I'm wondering just personally, where you grew up and a little bit about how you kind of came to where you are.
Oh my gosh. Okay. Where do we start? What all, in my career? Should the beginning of my career? Is that what you mean? Yeah.
Just birth. No, the career stuff.
Birth. Wow. How much time do we have? Yeah. So I would say my first official career, I waitressed a bunch, from 18 to, or probably 16 actually, to 21. And I landed my first career, office job in a call center. I was there for 5 years. We were collecting on student loans, which honestly scared me, because just to see the amount of debt people took out and to know what they were making, and it just wasn't adding up. Well, there was that. And then there was also people who were making a lot of money. They couldn't afford their payments, which compared to what they were making didn't seem so bad, but they had just their debt to income ratio was just out of control. I learned a lot through that job. I was there for 5 years, I think I said, right? And I got promoted maybe 3 years into a call center manager, which was a pretty big job for me I must have been 23, I guess, 24 in there.
Yeah.
To be managing. That was a call center of 40 to 50 people. We did split them up between 4 of us managers, but that was my first stint really in managing. Even being a manager, I was getting yelled at by people who are mad that we were calling them to make their student loan payments. And I had a couple of friends who were in recruiting that were on the phone all day too, but they were making commissions and making way more money than me. And I was like, yeah, why am I doing this? I want to do that. So, but yeah, I actually, went through a job search that probably took me a few months. It took me a bit to land a recruiting role, because I had to really sell myself and convince people to hire me, because I didn't have any sales experience. So I had to kind of be able to show how my skill set translated. And so I've been in recruiting ever since. I've spent more time on the business development side, meaning bringing in jobs and having recruiters fill them for me. But I've always done the recruiting side as well. And I do both now currently. So yeah. What about?
That's awesome.
Yeah, what about you? So your background's always been in design, right? Or no?
It's kind of been all over the place. So I can go back to birth if you want. So I was born with the full set of hair, a full set of teeth, and I could whistle. No, I'm sorry. This episode's going to go off the rails because like you and I, we're always like joking. We're always joking around. Like we would be fired if like we weren't the president. Yeah, I know. But we get a lot of work done too. So I think that's just like how we compensate. Because like I wake up and then I'm like doing JobGhost from between changing diapers and feeding kids. I'm like doing JobGhost until like, it's like 10 at night or whatever, 11 sometimes. But anyways, so I grew up, my childhood was awful and my parents divorced at 13. It was my fault. And that's fine. I'm kidding. But one of the things that was really interesting about the family that they were like just relentless entrepreneurs, and so they always had these different ideas and businesses that they tried to put together. And so many of them just failed. They really failed. We had one where I was like, oh, this is not going to work. We had one of the dancers from Dancing with the Stars. His name was Louis Van Amstel. And we made like dance instructional DVDs. This was like a million years ago in 2008 or 9 or something like that, when Dancing with the Stars was all the rage. Yeah. And I'm like, this is not going to work. I made the music for it and did some of the design work and helped with the editing and some of the filming. So that gave me kind of like a taste for design after that. I'm like, this business will fail, but I really like doing design and video editing and creating music. So that's kind of where that went from. And then did some different odd jobs and started some businesses, eventually went back to school. I got married and my wife actually lived 4 houses down from me for like years, and I never met her until later on in life. Yeah, it's weird how that works sometimes.
Didn't know that.
Yeah, I knew her older sister, but I didn't know her very well. So, and then I ended up, coming to this, starting JobGhost. I was in another startup with Ellie Kula. He has a startup called Vigilant, and they do it's like a safety app to keep you updated on, like shootings around you and all the crazy stuff happening. And so it was like they kind of introduced me to the startup world. They gave me a chance to be their graphic designer. And then I kind of really enjoyed my time with them, learning all about it for 2 or 3 years. And then I was like, I just need to start my own. Because we were going to do JobGhost together, but then it kind of didn't pan out and we didn't have the right people. And so I was like, forget it. And I was like, I'm just going to do this on my own. And that's when things kind of started to work. And then when you came on, it was like, that's when we had real momentum. Thank you for that.
Everything happens for a reason, right? And got to be cross paths.
Maybe, yeah, I hope. Yeah.
Yeah. Let's see when it launches, right?
Yes, we're going to be launching soon. That's going to be very exciting for us to launch and to kind of really figure out our demographic and customers, because we have some people that are like, when are you launching? I want to use this product now. So, which is great because like we want our customers to be relentless and really see the benefits of not ghosting their candidates.
Yeah. Yeah, and I've been surprised too, because I think when we first started talking about this, we originally were thinking that it would be the actual hiring manager that would use JobGhost, which we've gotten some interest from hiring managers, but we've actually gotten surprisingly a lot of interest from recruiters, both internal recruiters as well as agency recruiters.
Yeah, I find that's really interesting, but I think sometimes recruiters have a lot more people in their pipeline than companies, because sometimes a company will hire 2 or 3 people a year, depending on the size of the company. And then recruiters are always looking to hire people and they don't really want to ghost them. But speaking of ghosting, like I've been thinking a lot about the ghosting tax, which what is essentially a way to explain why companies shouldn't ghost. And there's really there's 4 different taxes contained within the ghosting tax. And I just want to cover that just really quick. So, people think ghosting it's just rude, but actually, for companies, it's a tax. So it's like the first one is a time tax, right? It's like wasted labor. Recruiters and managers spend hours chasing threads. They're writing follow-ups. They're like reconstructing context across inboxes. And then number 2 is the velocity tax. So that means it's slower hiring for your company. So what happens is like your silence increases drop-off and delays decisions. And then it keeps these roles that they're putting out there open even longer before they can even hire somebody. So every extra week that they have those advertised and they're spending money on it, it costs money for a cost of vacancy impact for them. And then there is the third one, which is brand tax, their reputation. So like you and I have talked about a lot, candidates talk. Research shows that over half will share negative experiences within their inner circle, right? And a lot of times people that are in an inner circle together, a lot of them have like similar career paths too. And they keep everything, like if you're a doctor, you're going to be working with other doctors or nurses, or you're in the same field. So, and a meaningful portion of them will actually share that publicly, as we're seeing now. Like just, it's all the time. Like every other thread on LinkedIn is just like, I was ghosted, this is my story, et cetera, et cetera. So we'll go to the fourth one, which is the pipeline tax. And so that is future talent. So once candidates feel ignored, they are far less likely to apply again or refer others to that. So future pipelines shrink and then they get more expensive to refill. And so the ghosting tax essentially encompassed, and all of that adds up, and that can, inflate and balloon into costing companies significantly more money. So if they eliminate ghosting, those taxes can go away. And even if people don't get the jobs, which most people don't, they're hiring one person, you have 1,000 candidates. But if you treat the 999 candidates really well, they're going to remember that and be like, they kept me in the loop, even though I didn't get the job, it was like they were really nice about it. Closure. And so it was like, if they ever open another position, it's like, yeah, I'll definitely apply, So, and also one thing too, is part of us is we want to keep people in the loop consistently, like we're trying to do every 4 days. So I found this criteria that shows 30% of job seekers assume they have been ghosted after 1 week of silence. If you're silent for 1 week, they think they've been ghosted. So really, it's just not like being nicer. It's like, it's building a system that guarantees every candidate gets a clear update and closure every time. And that's what we're building with JobGhost. Yeah.
It's letting them know where they stand. That's really all they want, is just to know, because like a week, 2 weeks goes by, whatever it is. Now they're questioning, am I even still in the running? Am I down and I don't know it yet? Or maybe I missed an email. Did they need to call me? Like, I don't know. Whereas if you're at least sending them an update, they know where they are at.
Yeah. Yeah. Even if it's just like super simple, like, hey, we're still thinking about you. You're still in the running for the job. That can, when that's happened to me, I've been like, oh, that's great. It's like a relief, even if I don't get hired by them, it's like, I know I'm still in the loop, and they seem incredibly professional and super organized, even if it's just like the most simple email, And right now it just seems like chaos. It just seems like chaos. The hiring process is just absolute chaos. And there are plenty of jobs, but there's just too much gatekeeping, and there's too many. It's preventing good candidates from getting opportunities. But I feel like that's another discussion. But like, as far as ghosting goes, it'll help companies because right now, and it always has been, the best marketing is always been and will always be word of mouth. That's just always how it's, because you trust friends and you trust referrals more than you just trust something. I mean, when I think about like, if I'm buying something on Amazon or wherever I might be shopping, I'm far more likely to buy something if it shows me testimonials and people actually using the product and it's effective for them. Like they'll record those videos or they'll take pictures. This is what it really looks like. You're not being scammed or whatever. And so I think that needs to be something with jobs. There needs to be more transparency with companies. Like, what's it like to work here? And, what can you expect? And so that's just like, if you leave a sour taste in somebody's mouth with your first interaction, your first impression of the company, that just like destroys your reputation and more future potential candidates. The ripple effect is real. It's huge, and it's costing billions of dollars every year.
Yeah. Yeah, it's such a real thing. I like how you covered the ghosting tax too. As a recruiter, there's always been those companies. I'm sure every recruiter can relate to this. I've seen it happen on a small scale, and now it's happening on a larger scale where, for example, like there's, a company in Boston where I know it's just like it's a revolving door. Like nobody wants to work there. People are always leaving. Their interview process is horrible. All of those things. And it's like, if you even put a candidate around here on that company, they're probably going to say, no, I don't want to interview. They're like, I have friends who have. And to your point, like, so let's say it's a software engineer. They have friends that are software engineers, most likely. Let's say it's a salesperson. Like they probably have friends who are in sales. So like word travels really, really fast, and people figure those things out quickly.
Yeah. And that's even compounded more because of social media. That's compounded it more because of LinkedIn and TikTok and all those places where people can, if they have a bigger following too, and they're like, this place is not a good place to work. They ghosted me. Well, that could potentially really affect revenue, especially if it's a trusted source and somebody who has a large following on LinkedIn, like yourself or others. And if they, not to do defamation about the company really, but to just kind of say like the company overall could be a pretty good place to work, but you got to understand that people's first impression of you is super duper important. Just like I was saying, I mean, let's say you're going to like a party, you have new person you're going to meet, right? Your friends are like, we're going to introduce you to a new friend. If your friends say like, this person is the worst, they're just a jerk, I'm not sure if I want to go. And what if they were wrong about that person, right? Your first impression comes from them. So like you would see that person and automatically feel a sense of like, I'm just keeping distance, right? But then if they're like, this person's great, they're so friendly, I enjoy being around them, you're way more open to that whole first impression before you even set foot through the door. That's the same with hiring and in companies, right? So it's like they need to have, a greater concern about their brand and about their hiring process, because it's all part of it. It's not just once they get in the door and they're hired, like it's just like a logo, right? It's like everything is part of the business, especially the hiring process. And it's one of the most important processes out there, because if you're ghosting people, you could be missing out on future rock stars for your company, right? It's really, really great talent that could take your company to new heights. By ghosting lots of people, you could potentially missing out on tons of more profit for your company.
Yeah. And not even just the good talent, but also, we always talk about how job seekers are also consumers. So, for example, not saying these are the companies that ghost, but if Nike's ghosting people left and right, those people are probably going to go start shopping at like Adidas or something,
Totally. Yeah, I totally agree with that. Let's see I'll give you a ghosting story. First, what is your worst ghosting story that you have from like recruiters that you've now?
Oh my God. We both know to that. I mean,
it can take a minute. You can take a minute. I'll edit it out. It's not like there's a rush or anything.
I mean, I'm trying to think if I feel like I've had a manager ghost like a client in the past, ghost, and like I never really heard back from them, even after having candidates interview. I can tell you what I do when hiring managers do ghost me. I usually send them something funny, like, were you like abducted by aliens, or like, what in the world happened to you?
Right.
Ends up getting them to respond to me. But yeah, I mean, I have several, situations over the years where it's been tough to get a hold of a hiring manager or an internal recruiter that I'm working with. I try to manage that process a little bit up front just to like avoid that from happening and set expectations. But I've definitely heard from many, many candidates about their ghosting stories. I mean, on TikTok and LinkedIn as well. I just posted something this morning about how somebody had shared that they were ghosted, they were ghosted, and then they received a rejection notification, but it was like a year later or something. They forgot they had like applied or had interviewed for the role. And it's like, that's obviously just bad HR tech. Like somebody definitely went in there and just like tried to clean up like Workday or something and then just spit out a bunch of rejection emails. But that's just, that you look really silly and unorganized. But yeah.
I know this. Yeah.
We need to hear about your worst ghosting. I'm trying to think about it. Hold on real quick. As a job seeker, have I ever been ghosted?
Yeah.
I wish I had one. I don't think so. I do feel like when I was interviewing for recruiting roles, I was like definitely waiting by the phone for maybe a little too long on some of them.
Okay.
But I don't know. I don't have anyone. I don't think I have anything to share there. But I want to hear yours. What's your worst ghosting story?
Yeah. So let's see. I have a few of them, but I'll just do this. Let me think. I'll edit this out. But none actually super come to mind now. But it's really interesting. I actually posted something on Reddit for like your worst interview ghosting or a ghost job story. So I'll just read to you one of those. One individual that I came across was saying that they're currently still waiting on a verbal offer that was given to them months ago after a 3-hour interview. Since then, they had a great interview with another company, demonstrating how hard they work with every sector they'd work in and in every medium that they work in. And they've had a very similar title twice. Recruiter promised they'd hear back in a week. Radio silence. They followed up after they saw the job and posted again a month later and was told that they were pursuing candidates whose background was a culture match. So they dug a little deeper and found out that they've been trying to hire someone for more than 6 months for this role. And then they had another interview in person for a different role, second round interview where they presented an impressive 3 months planned. They were told they'd hear back in a week. That was a month ago. So it's one of those things that it's just happening everywhere to so many people. And sometimes they could be the most qualified candidate, but it just seems like companies are really looking for a unicorn. You're not going to find one. You just have to find people that you can build a team around and they kind of support each other's weaknesses, because there's just no such thing as like a perfect person or a perfect job candidate, you know? Are we still recording? Did you freeze? You froze. I'll edit this out.
We glitched for a second.
Yeah. Did you catch what I said, or did you just like, are you there?
No, I
Have a lot of stuff to edit out. Hopefully it caught it. So we'll see. But it was the best ghosting story you would never heard.
No, I heard the ghost story.
Yeah, we're good.
Full episode. Next time we do one of these, we should just read off all the stories that people have told us about their ghosting experience and just share. We can do a whole hour episode on that. There's so many. There are so many, and it's crazy. Before we wrap up, why don't you tell everybody when we plan to launch JobGhost? We're planning to launch JobGhost in early January and get it out there for people. Right now, we're doing some beta testing with some customers, but we're finishing up our AI agent, and then we're just going to launch. We're going to get it out there in January, and it's going to be great. I mean, for us, our main focus is doing one thing really, really well, and that's eliminating ghosting. So if that's our only feature we have, I think we can be a successful company, because eliminating ghosting is huge for companies, and it'll be huge for the candidates, and people will just feel like they respect them. There's just so many reasons why companies should use us, and it's affordable. It's $29.99 a month. And so, especially for those in Canada that might be listening, $29 a month or up to $100,000 in fines, it's a no-brainer to me. But yeah, once we launch, we'll announce it. We'll have a countdown. We'll let everybody know we're launching. And then, it'll be very exciting to help companies and to help hiring managers and recruiters eliminate that. And I'm excited for some of the feedback that they might get from some of their candidates and everything. Yeah. Are we glitching again? Oh, no, we're good. Okay. We're good, right? Yeah, we're good. We're good. You guys heard it here then. We're going to launch in January, so hold us accountable. Definitely get on our wait list too. You should tell everybody where they can find you, Devon. You can find me on LinkedIn and just search my name, Devon Archer, or you can send me an email on our jobghost.ai, and you can send us a request or an email if you want to do a partnership or anything. We have some partnerships in the works, but we're always open to listening to more discussions and ideas to help anybody eliminate ghosting in any kind of business. So. Yeah. You guys should definitely follow Devon on LinkedIn. He posts a lot of funny. Are we glitching again? Oh my gosh. Why does it keep happening? We keep glitching. I feel like it's your internet is slow. You need a better internet connection. Yeah, it's me for sure. But yeah, you guys need to follow Devon on LinkedIn. He posts a lot of funny stuff, and his following is growing pretty quickly. Yeah, unfortunately it is. All right. Thank you for coming on. This was fun. We'll have to do this again. Yeah. Next time we'll share more ghosting stories. I like that idea. I think that would be fun, and the audience would probably enjoy it too. Absolutely. Ghosting stories and scamming stories, those are always fun. Well, maybe, but we'll see. You have to laugh sometimes, right, to keep from crying? Yeah. That's life. You have to laugh or cry. Choose one. We're always. Well, thanks for tuning into JobGhost, the podcast. If you like this episode, please give us a like and review, and subscribe to our channels on YouTube and Spotify. Don't forget to get on our wait list at jobghost.ai, and follow us on social at jobghost.ai on Instagram and JobGhost on LinkedIn. And remember, say no to ghosting.